Hey guys, it's Alex with Hammond Watch. I'm here today with my final two bracelets. I've been trying to track down what the best bracelet option is on AliExpress for the Escapement time Flieger. In the last video we did an oyster and a president. This video it's two separate oyster styles, although the one on the right has a little bit of that vintage Rolex feel with the pattern on the clasp. It also has screw links, which I'm pretty excited about, although the finishing is pretty awful. But we'll start with this bracelet. It very much reminds me of the oyster from the last video. The end links look like they're going to be a touch short, but the quality of this one does feel better. Like the bracelet feels a little heavier and the links feel a little bit more solid. But let's just have a look at how it's going to fit up to the case. So the end link is a little small, but really it's not bad at all. The first bracelet we reviewed definitely fits best out of what we've tried to date. And I will say that the gap in the case here is actually pretty narrow. So I prefer this to the oyster we saw in the last video by a pretty significant margin, even though it does have the same kind of fold over cheap pressed clasp. Certainly a viable option. Not the one that I'm going with, but I like this leaps and bounds over the third bracelet we checked out. So this will move up into our third place, and that one will bump down to fourth. So here we are on wrist. Not bad. You know, obviously a little bit shallow in the lugs, but all things considered, I mean, we've seen a better option, but if everything else was sold out, I think this is certainly passable. So look, I'm realistic. You know, I know that in buying cheap AliExpress bracelets, you can't really be too nitpicky. But the finishing on this bracelet is comical. Not one section of it looks uniform. You have polished bits here and there. This is probably the best value bracelet that we've tried, just because you do have screw links, which is incredible, and you have plenty of micro adjusts. So in general, I'm a fan. Just know that if you go this direction, you're going to need to get a green Scotch-Brite pad and just do your own brushing. If you've never done it before, don't worry. It's incredibly easy. Just get the pad and stay as vertical and straight as you can. I like to lay mine on the table and then run the bracelet across it. I find that I can get a more uniform brushing that way. But you, with a couple minutes at home, are going to be able to do a better job than how this bracelet arrives. So I think that this bracelet's really the surprise of this whole kind of run. I really expected the screw links to mean a lot more to me than they do. In person, this bracelet does feel just a little cheaper than the others. The fitment's good enough. You know, it's not any worse. You know, just middle of the road. But I don't like the clasp. It's a good thing it's got a fold over because the clasp itself doesn't engage very well. Also on the underside, I wasn't sure if this was like a diver extension, but there's just a big panel here. If it's meant to be a diver's extension, it's not going to work because you have a bar here at the back end of the clasp that it kind of tucks underneath. So if you need to use this back half of micro adjust, you're going to run into a little bit of weird issues, or this flat piece of metal is going to be sticking out. It's just kind of awkward. I really thought that this was going to be one of my favorites, and honestly, it's nowhere near the top. So here we are right back where we started. The first oyster bracelet I tried is far and away the best fit. It's still going to take a few bends to get it perfect, but at the same time, you know, beggars can't be choosers. For the cost, I think it's an incredible option. The finishing is what I think I'm most surprised with. You know, I wasn't blown away when I first got the bracelet, but after checking out the other options in person, this is absolutely finished to the nicest degree. And part of that probably comes down to having the cheapest clasp. That said, if you do a cheap clasp, but you do it effectively and you make it feel nice, it really doesn't matter. I feel like this is more secure than some of the foldovers we had, so all things considered, I'm pretty happy with the results. Alright, so here we are ranked up left to right. That first oyster, obviously the winner. I do think that the President is a nice secondary option. The fit isn't quite as good, but at the same time, it gives a very nice aesthetic, and it feels really nice on wrist. It's an extremely comfortable bracelet. Your middle option here is where I think you really need to want to have a bracelet on this watch, and these two should be sold out before you go this direction. It's passable, but it's just not as smooth as these. These options I would completely stay away from. This felt the cheapest, but having screw links, I gave it just a slight edge as the end links for this one, and overall feel just weren't right for the watch. I hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It helps out tremendously. Also consider subscribing. I'm putting out a couple of watch videos a week, and I hope to see you in the next one.